All right, peace, family. In this one, I would like to go over the events that followed the Holocaust and compare them to the events that followed the end of the Civil War. So, we have the Nuremberg trials. It was a series of military tribunals held after World War II by the Allied forces under international law and the law of wars. The trials were most notable for the prosecution of prominent members of the political, military, judicial, and economic leadership of Nazi Germany, who planned, carried out, and otherwise participated in the Holocaust and other war crimes. The trials were held in Nuremberg, Germany, and the decisions marked a turning point between classical and contemporary international law. So after the Holocaust or after the World War II, you had the people who participated in Nazi Germany, they was put on trial. The categorization of crimes in the constitution of the court represented a juridical advance that would be followed afterwards by the United Nations for the development of international jurisprudence in matters of war crimes, crime against humanity, and wars of aggression, and led to the creation of the International Criminal Court. So if the International Criminal Court was just in exist when the Indians was being wiped out or when black people was being wiped out and some enslaved, the US wouldn't even exist. But for the first time in international law, the Nuremberg indictments also mentioned genocide and war crimes, the extermination of a racial, national groups against the civilian populations of a certain occupied territories in order to destroy particular races and classes of people in national, racial, and religious groups, particularly Jews, Poles, Gypsies, and others. I'm not going to comment on it until I read my next session. So that's what happened after the Holocaust. You had trials and people was put to death for all of that stuff. So when we come to the United States and we follow the Civil War, it says that presidential pardons given to ex-Confederates was a special power exercised by President Abraham Lincoln and Andrew Johnson and was usually extended in cases where the person pardoned had served in the military above the rank of colonel or a civilian who had exercised political power under the Confederate government. The power to pardon offenses to the federal government was given to the chief executive of the United States under Article 2. So let's keep it in mind that not only were these people terrorists and terrorizing black people, owning slaves, these people committed a war, like a war of aggression against the United States. These people committed treason. They were terrorists, but none of them got in trouble. Under the terms of the surrender for the Army of Northern Virginia at the approximate courthouse on April 10, 1865, General Ulysses S. Grant stipulated that each officer and man will be allowed to return to his home and not be disturbed by the United States authority so long as they observe their parole and the laws in force where they may reside. On May 5th, the parole was extended so that soldiers from the 11 Confederate states plus West Virginia will be allowed to return home on their parole, but that all who claim homes in the D.C. and in the states that never passed the ordinance of secession, Maryland, Kentucky, and Missouri included, have forfeited them and can only return to by complying with the amnesty proclamation of the president and obtaining special permission from the War Department. So all of that is nonsense. These people were allowed to go home like nothing ever happened, like they never committed treason. Those excluded from the general amnesty had the option to apply to the president for a special pardon, and much of Johnson's time was spent granting these pardons. The following oath was required under Johnson's 1865 proclamation. I, whoever, do solemnly swear or affirm in the presence of Almighty God that I will henceforth faithfully support and defend the Constitution of the United States, the Union of the states thereunder, and I will in like manner abide by and faithfully support all laws and proclamations which have been made during the existing rebellion with reference to the emancipation of slaves, so help me God. So all they had to do was take an oath under Andrew Johnson, and he took all Under Special Order of Field Order 15, where black people got land, he reversed all of that and gave it back to the people who committed treason against the United States, because nobody was held responsible for slavery and the genocide of African Americans. They just monopolized everything and freed you into it. So no Nuremberg trials took place, none of that. It was just cut and dry. These people fought against each other and everything was forgiven. There were 12,652 pardons issued by June 5th, 1866. Under Johnson's 13th exemption, the number of pardons was issued in this order: Virginia 2,000, Alabama 1,300, Georgia 1,200, Mississippi 765, South Carolina 638, North Carolina 482, Texas 269, Louisiana 142, Tennessee 93, Arkansas 41, West Virginia 39, Florida 22, Kentucky 11, and Missouri 10. All the people who was pardoned by this dude, Andrew Johnson. In a final proclamation on December 25th, 1868, Johnson declared unconditionally and without reservation a full pardon and amnesty for the offense of treason against the United States, or of adhering to the enemies during the late Civil War, with the restoration of all rights and privileges and immunities under the Constitution and the law. So imagine this: the Holocaust and the Nazi Germans take it amongst themselves to say, okay, we're going to issue voting rights to the Jewish people. We're going to integrate with the Jewish people. Like everything that took place before this time, it don't matter. All the stolen property, the people, and all of that stuff, that's nothing. So no trial was held after that. Where would the Jewish people be today? They were smarter than that, though. They knew that they had to get justice. Right now, they still got Nazi hunters, man. And after slavery, during Reconstruction. But I just wanted to show, though, that if you look, our people didn't receive justice. We never held a Nuremberg trial. So right now, African Americans are being ruled and regulated by the sons and daughters of slave masters. So never forget, we didn't receive justice, and reparations will only be the start. Peace.